Are you feeling lonely? Do you want to be the life of the party? Well, you can now when you buy all of these amazing party games. Friends not included. Party games are my go-to board game genre, especially when I have family or friends coming over for the holidays or when I'm meeting a group of people for the first time. Party games are really great for promoting social interaction. It gives people something to talk about whilst avoiding some of that forceful, awkward get-to-know-you conversation. Oh, hey there! What brings you to this party? I live here. Oh. This video aims to provide you with a sample of party games that help to break the ice and give you a few suggestions for your next party or social get-together. When I Dream. When I Dream is a word association game where one player takes on the role of the dreamer who wears this sleep mask, and the other players take on the role of good and bad dream spirits who try and guide the players either to the correct or wrong answer in order to score victory points at the end of a round. After all players have taken on the role of the dreamer, the player with the most victory points at the end of the game will win. In a round of When I Dream, one player is blindfolded and becomes the dreamer. Their job is to listen to the clues given by the other players and try and guess a series of simple one-word answers written on a deck of dream cards. After the dreamer is blindfolded, each other player is randomly allocated a particular role, and this changes from round to round. The good fairy dream spirits are trying to get the dreamer to guess the single words on the deck of dream cards, whilst the boogeymen are trying to disrupt the harmony and lead the dreamer away from guessing the right answer. The Sandman is more neutral, trying to play both sides and keep things even. Players can give clues in the form of a single word only. Clues are given continuously around the circle until the dreamer makes a single one and only guess. The group then places the guessed card either on the fairy side, which is the correct side, or incorrect side, the boogeyman side of the game board. The dreamer will not know if they've guessed correctly until the end of the round. At the end of 2 minutes, the dreamer must recount their dream as accurately as possible, mentioning all of the clues and words that they have dreamt about. If they do, they score an extra 2 points. Players then reveal their roles and score points according to the scoring system. When I Dream is a superb party game that's easy to access and relatively easy to engage with either as a gamer or non-gamer. The words that players have to guess are relatively simple, familiar, and well known. I like how when players go through a round, each player gives a single word clue, providing for maximum engagement and very little downtime. I like the role of the dreamer. It feels really cool and unique as you have to drop your guard and instill the trust in the other players to help you hopefully lead you to the right word and gain you some extra victory points. I also like the fact that the roles change from round to round, which adds an element of unpredictability and keeps things lively and fresh. Monikers is a party game that is based on the popular game Celebrity, where players try to guess a series of famous people's names and pop culture icons given by clues by their fellow teammates. The team that earns the most victory points across 3 rounds and has the most laughs will win the game. Monikers is played over 3 successive rounds. In the setup phase, players are given 10 cards each featuring a range of different pop culture celebrities or icons, and then each player selects 5 to keep to include in the collective card pool. The rest of the cards are returned to the box. Players are essentially split into 2 teams, with one person on the team being the clue giver and the other team members being the guessers. In round 1, the clue giver can use any words, sounds or gestures to help their teammates guess the moniker. Widely known dinosaurs in the world. It is carnivorous and it is huge. In round 2, they can only use a one-word clue. Dinosaur. In round 3, they can only use charades. Where Monikers sticks its head up above the rest is the idea that players learn what cards are in the entire card pool across each of the 3 rounds. Players will get progressively better at guessing the Monikers as the hilarity of the clues becomes more and more obvious. Monikers is an excellent party game because it feels like an old friend that you haven't seen for ages, except they're dressed in new clothes. This game takes traditional concepts and party game ideas and remelds them and revitalizes them and presents them in a new, fresh and exciting way. This game is really great at promoting teamwork as players give clues to their team members to try and earn those important victory points. It is a guessing game done really well, as the game really tries to set players up for success. In the first round, players are giving verbal clues to help their teammates and other people familiarize themselves with the answers in the moniker deck. And towards the third round of the game, when the charade round comes along, there is less anxiety but more accessibility in terms of acting out some of those monikers, because everyone will know the answer straight away, providing less opportunity for those awkward silences.
Werewords.
Werewords is a hidden identity word deduction game with a huge element of social interaction. In this game, players take on the role of villagers as they try to guess a magic word put forward by the mayor of the town using a series of yes or no questions. However, some of the players at the table are secretly werewolves, and they're trying to thwart the villagers' plans and stop them from guessing the word correctly before time is up. However, the villagers have an ally on their side known as the seer, who also knows the magic word and is subtly giving hints to the villagers to help them guide them in the right direction. To add further complexity, the mayor, the person who chose the word for the round, could also be a werewolf or a villager or a seer.
Playing Werewords is relatively easy, as there is a downloadable app that can help facilitate the game experience, and it also provides a choice of words at various levels of difficulty. To set up a game of Werewords, players select Mayor, Seer, Werewolf and Villager role cards so that there is one more role than the number of players. Role cards are shuffled and then are dealt randomly to players secretly, and the person who has the Mayor card reveals it and announces it to the group. The Mayor takes the leftover center card role and views it secretly. It is their role for the game. All players then follow the app's instructions by closing their eyes, with the mayor waking up, tapping his roll and selecting the magic word. The werewolves and the seer also wake up separately and view the magic word. The game now begins with players having 4 minutes to ask the mayor a series of yes or no questions to try and deduce the wereword. If the players guess the correct word, the mayor presses the correct button, ending the game. The werewolf then reveals himself and guesses who the seer is. If the werewolf can guess the identity of the seer, they win. If they can't, the werewolf loses. Alternatively, if the time runs out and the word has not been guessed or the tokens run out, then the players have some time to try and identify the identity of the werewolf. If the majority of the villagers identify the werewolf, the villagers win. If they don't, the werewolves win.
Werewords is a fantastic party icebreaker game because it has a high level of social interaction. The way that players ask the mayor a series of yes or no questions really drives the flow of the game. The roles themselves provide for some interesting intrigue and social deduction. The game itself is a really great get-to-know-you game, and especially if you're playing with office colleagues or if you're playing with a group of people that you haven't met, it's a great way to get to know other people and some of their personalities. It's a relatively easy game to dive into. The game itself is run by an app that is free to download. It's very portable and the game plays in a very short amount of time. The game also provides with different levels of difficulty to try and increase the challenge for experienced players and decrease the challenge for players entering it for the first time. How are you enjoying the Halloween party? I'm totally digging it. Except it's a full moon tonight, and when it's a full moon I usually turn into a... Let me guess. You're going to turn into a werewolf. It's not like I haven't heard that a million times before.
Skull.
Skull is a bluffing style hidden information game where players take these round discs and place them face down in front of them. When each player has at least one face down disc, players can choose to add another disc or issue a challenge. When a player issues a challenge, they announce a number which represents the number of discs they can reveal confidently from around the table without revealing a skull card. The bidding war then begins, and the player who bids the highest needs to fulfill the challenge. The player who issues a challenge first fulfills it by revealing all of the discs in front of them. Then they can choose the top disc from each player's pile and reveal them until they've fulfilled their bid. If the player reveals a skull, the challenge immediately loses one disc by random and removes it from the game. And that disc could potentially be their skull disc, but they better not let other players know that. And this is where the bluffing element really shines. If the player, on the other hand, reveals all flowers and no skulls, they gain a victory. If they gain 2 victories, they win the game.
At the beginning of the game, each player selects 4 discs of the same colour, 3 flowers and 1 skull, and a matching playmat, flipping it to the lightest side. Players take the discs into their hands and keep the information hidden from the rest of the players. In a round, each player must first place one of their discs face down on their mat. Then, proceeding in clockwise turn order around the table, players then may decide to add an extra disc on top of the one already played, or a player then may issue a challenge. If a player has no discs left on their turn, they must issue a challenge. A player who issues a challenge announces the number of discs they intend to reveal amongst all discs played on all mats. In clockwise order, players can increase the bid or pass, stopping on the highest bidder. The challenger, who is the highest bidder, then attempts the challenge by flipping over all of their own discs first, then flipping over discs from the other player's stacks in the order that they choose, starting with the disc at the top. If a skull is revealed, the challenger has failed, and the challenger loses one of their discs randomly. If no skulls are flipped, then the challenger gains a victory. If a challenger ever gains 2 victories, they win the game.
Skull is an excellent icebreaker game which is suitable for any casual social situation. It's got a high element of risk-taking and high level of social interaction. There's 2 parts to this game, one where information is publicly shared and one which is hidden from the other players, and the bluffing is the key element to this. In this game, I really like how players can use the skull to lure the other players into a false sense of security, especially those players that overbid, because when they reveal a skull, then that player who challenges or issues a challenge will lose one of their discs, bringing them closer to their elimination, and for you, closer to winning the game. Can I get you a drink? Cheers, bro! Hey, look dude, I found these awesome coasters. These are my coasters and they belong in my board game.
Spyfall.
Spyfall is a social conversation game about questions, answers, and simply finding out where everybody is. Unless you're the spy, of course. If you're not the spy, you're posing probing questions to the other players at the table and gauging their response in order to figure out the identity of the spy. The job of the spy throughout a game is to try and act like they know where they are by providing very subtle responses to the other players' questions to try and avoid being caught.
Each round in a game of Spyfall involves selecting a pre-prepared location pack which includes multiple copies of the same location and 1 spy card. These are shuffled and dealt out to players randomly. Players have about 8 minutes to deduce either the location, if they're the spy, or the identity of the spy, if they're at the location. The starting play begins by asking any other player a question. It might be,
what sort of equipment would you be using if you were at this location?
The person answering can answer however they like. The turn then passes to the answering player, who then asks the next question to another player. The spy will need to listen out to the subtle clues given publicly in order to deduce the group's location. If the spy ever deduces the location that the other players are at, they win the game. If the other players work out the identity of the spy, then they win the game.
I have a question for you. Are you the spy? Oh, would you look at that? It's time to go. See ya! Spyfall is an excellent game at promoting and starting a conversation with your friends, family, and colleagues. Its very simple question and answer format really makes it easier to get to know people and makes the game flow relatively quickly. I like how in this game, players get to create their own open-ended questions or hard-hitting questions to direct at the other players, and the players who respond also come up with their own answers as well, which really makes for a varied game experience each time. The game also allows you to play with different connotations and subtlety, and so responses that you give may be interpreted in lots of different ways, which adds to the intrigue value.
Codenames.
Codenames Duet is a fully cooperative game for 2 players, or even better, as a party game for 2 teams of people, as many they can fit around your dining room table or in your house for that matters. It is a word association game where teams are trying to make contact with 15 field agents represented by these code names on this 5x5 grid. The catch here is that each team only has half of the puzzle, and if teams can work successfully together to give each other really good clues and make contact with all 15 agents whilst avoiding the assassin before time runs out, both teams will win.
In Codenames Duet, players set up a 5x5 word grid randomly in the center of the table. Players then take a double-sided clue card. It is important to note that one side has half of the puzzle and the other side has the other half. Ensure that each team only sees one side of the card. Teams will then take turns giving a one-word clue and a number representing the number of associated codename cards linked to that clue for the other team to identify. Teams make their selections by touching the cards of their choice, hoping to pick an agent. If they select a bystander, their turn ends and their play passes to the other team. In this version of Codenames, players only have 9 turns to locate all 15 agents in order to win.
Codenames Duet is a fantastic icebreaker game because it is a great team building experience where all players are involved in some way, whether they're providing the clues for the other team or they're trying to guess. This game really brings people together, and each game the tension runs really high as you're trying to make contact with all of those agents. This version is my preferred version out of all the Codenames versions out there because it has the least amount of downtime, and also it keeps the pace of the game moving relatively quickly. This game functions really well for newcomers as well as in an office environment or if you just hang out with family or friends on a holiday. It is an excellent word game with great depth and incredible challenge, and this game scales really well from the 2-player level right up to the 10 to 12 player level. So which board game do you like to use to help break the ice when you meet people for the first time? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for joining me for another Board Game Sanctuary video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share if you really like this video. And once again, I want to say a huge thank you to all the subscribers and people who continually support me and this channel. I really and humbly appreciate it. Until next time, I hope to see you again soon. This is Danny signing out. Bye.